You know what? I told all y'all my life secrets and you didn't know it. Why? Because I was muted. So I gave y'all the recipe to little, who is that? Little Caesars. I gave y'all the recipe to the little cut, the new product. I did. But since I was muted, you won't know that. Well, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Beverly Johnson, owner of the Epic Health Coaching Academy, and welcome to this week's episode. I won't be alone today, but I want to check in and see how your week has been. How's everything going? If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I'm always glad to have you. Now, this week, I am not by myself. Why? Because when I need an expert, I have to call in reinforcement. For those that aren't familiar with this segment, it is called Fit and Fierce, and I embrace all things wellness. And for those that are unfamiliar with the tenets of wellness, it is your financial, spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical health. So you can excel in one space when you're struggling in another space. So in this segment, we address all things wellness because a balanced life is a productive and fulfilling life. And it is my goal to contribute to a fulfilling, happy life. So without further ado, we're going to bring on our guest, the amazing Dr. Ronda Stinson Boyd. And she's going to tell us how to go with the flow.
Hello, hello,
Hi,
hello.
hi, beautiful. How are you today?
I am awesome. And
So,
you?
for those that are unfamiliar with you, Dr. Rhonda, because I've been keeping up with all the great things that you're doing out here in the community. For those that are, if this is the first time they're meeting you, could you tell us a little about yourself?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, just a little bit. First of all, Coach Beverly, thank you for having me on your platform. It's a privilege and an honor. I am Dr. Ronda Stinson Boyd. I help business owners and families lower their taxes by building their own bank so they can start building generational wealth. A little bit about me. I am a mom, a grandma. I have my own nonprofit because kids just give me energy. I teach kids financial literacy and showing them what they love to do. They can get paid doing it. I'm an author. My book is about to hit the shelves. It's at the printers right now. And I'm married, been married for 30 years this coming January. But I'm all about generational wealth when it comes to financial literacy.
So, how did you find yourself in this space?
It started with the nonprofit, to be honest
Mm-hmm.
with you. My daughter, oldest daughter, went to the doctor when she was about 8 or 9. Now she's in her 30s now, y'all. When she was 8 or 9, doctor asked her, what did she want to be when she grew up? She said, I want to be a photographer. He was like, no, what do you really want to be? And I'm like, what do you mean? Kids are put in this box sometimes when it comes to what they love, and they just can't see where to go. So I started teaching financial literacy and teaching kids what they love to do within my nonprofit. Then it actually grew where I became a financial professional in the insurance world. And within that, helping people, a lot of people think of life insurance as it's nothing except it helps us after you die, but that is not always the case. What I do now is show people that no, you can actually get life insurance, which means you can use it while you're living and be able to put use it while you're living for generational wealth now.
Can
And
you speak to how that becomes generational wealth?
yeah, 2 ways. So you can get just a regular life insurance if you want to when you die, someone in your family. The problem with a lot of people, they only get enough life insurance to bury them. That doesn't help with generational wealth.
Now, Dr. Rhonda, I don't want my folks living off me now after I go on to glory. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I can't have these folks living off me. No.
And that's what a lot of people think. But what if I told you, how about you live off the things that you put in by getting into a vehicle, which is called infinite banking, get into a vehicle and you're able to get compound interest right now So you can get yourself out of debt. You can use the money. When I say get out of debt, that means you let it sit there for a while. And then when you need a new car, you go borrow money from yourself.
Can you speak on that concept for a little while, the infinite banking system?
Yes. So infinite banking, it uses insurance that has cash value to it. What I teach my clients is it's a bank. This is a bank is a business. And
Mhm.
so when I talk about infinite banking, you're setting up another business. So anybody that knows about business, when you start your business, what you do is you invest in your business until you build it up. Then you start paying yourself dividends. You start using the money. So what we do is we actually sit down and talk to you because finances are personal. I can't
Mhm.
sit here and tell you, Beverly, if you put this much in, you're going to end up with this amount. All I know is if you don't start now, you don't have anything. So
Right.
you have to start in order to get there. What we do is we put a set amount of money in. Part of it goes to life insurance. So that way, when you do pass, the cash value and the life insurance gets paid to your family. But while you're putting extra in, because you're basically overfunding it. So instead of like, let me ask you a question, coach. How much are you getting paid on, what's your interest rate? How much interest are they giving you on your checking or savings account right now in your bank?
Um, Probably the bare minimum, which is why I don't really have a savings account.
For a lot of people, it's 0.0005. So
If
it's
that high.
correct. And that is high. So instead of saving inside of the bank, who's now turning your money around, because then they're going to let you borrow your money for how much interest?
Mhm.
Normally for like 29%. Like they're not giving you anything, but then they're going to charge you interest. So now we're going to flip the tables is what we're doing. We're flipping the tables where you're becoming the bank. And within this vehicle, you can get anywhere between 4 and 12. It's all of the good things. And I equate to most people understand 401k. So to give you something to compare it to, because sometimes we can't imagine ourselves being a bank. Banks are big, like they have hundreds of millions of dollars. And sometimes we can't imagine that. But when I say 401k, the average person knows what a 401k is. So the 401k rides the market goes down, your money goes down. If you try to take money out, they penalize you for taking money out.
Mhm.
If you leave the money there to 59 and a half, and I think some might be longer than that. If you leave the money there, then you can take it out later on, but you can't use it in the meantime. And they're going to force you to take it out and you're taxed on it. So this infinite banking is the opposite of that. It
Okay.
doesn't go up and down with the market. It only rides the market up. So it is affected by the market, but when the market goes down, it doesn't go down.
Okay.
You can take your money, you can borrow against your money and not be penalized. And guess what? When you die, or if you want to use it now, you're not taxed on it.
So why do you think sometimes, because the pushback I gave you earlier was something that I actually heard somebody say, that why he would not get life insurance, because he said there was no way his wife was going to just live off of whatever he had. And the agent at the time said, well, if she's at home, he said, yeah, correct. He said, so your wife is so you're the sole
Right.
provider. Yes. She said, he said, so while your wife has been busy making a home for you, caring for your children, how much would you value that?
And he was
And he
like,
was like, he said, there's no number. He said, so now she will have to replace your salary as well as a salary that you can't place a number on. And the agent kept saying, what about your children? Well, can't leave the house. He said, because I want them to stay where they are. He said, well, how will all that be accomplished if your wife does not have any type of bearing? So after they bury you, what are they supposed to do? And he said, you know what? I hadn't even thought that far.
right.
He said, how is she going to pay off the house? How is she going to pay off the cars? How are they going to live after the service? And he said, oh, I hadn't even looked at it like that.
Right.
He just put in his mind that she was just going to take all the money and they just go jet setting across the world.
Yeah. And a lot of times I think men thinking, she ain't gonna get no other man with my money.
That's part of what he said too. He was like, I won't have no other man living in my household with my money.
Yeah.
And the agent kept saying, but what are they going to do for groceries and stuff? He said, if your wife has not been in the workplace for all these years, what's going to be her buffer to go back into the workforce? He said, well, I don't want to have that stress on her. And the agent kept saying, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Tell you.
He said, that's what and you can see him like, that's what I'm trying to.
Yeah. Because we don't think about it. When people hear life insurance, they hear death insurance. They hear I'm going to die. And that's a lot of times reason why there's no conversations around it.
Well, Dr. Ronda, I hear SNAP because I messed up and watched the SNAP marathon, and I hear deadly women. There are folks out here that kill for insurance.
But you got to get away with it.
They don't think that far, Dr. Ronda. Almost every other episode of SNAP is you're trying to kill the person, unalive the person for the insurance proceeds.
I'm hoping that's only 1% of the world that's out there killing for insurance. So I'm gonna need, first of all, our marriages out there. If you're married, or before you get married, let's get some counseling. Let's make sure we have a healthy marriage. So we're not killing each other for life insurance. But we are. So when I talk about generational wealth, is right now, even if a lot of people, you can get $1 million policy, it will not last past 3 generations. And it's because no one has been taught how to make it last past 3 generations. Right now, a lot of people, you can get a term insurance for a little bit of nothing for $1 million. The person passes away, they got 2 kids, it splits between them. Then them 2 kids have 2 or 3 kids between them, and it splits again. You're down to what, $150,000 per person by the time you get there, if they haven't spent it all within that generation. So it comes to that agent actually educated that husband on, let's look beyond right now to see what will happen. And that's when the financial literacy part comes in. We have to educate, even though people have heard it before, you just don't imagine it for yourself. People see people having fish fries and GoFundMe's and everything, trying just to bury somebody, which means if you had to get that to bury somebody, that means they probably lost the house that they're in. They're probably going to lose the cars. The wife or the husband now has to work extra, because if they had small children and the wife passed away and she was the person that was at home, now he has to put the kids in daycare. He has to get somebody, or he gonna get married again.
So do you think our hesitation to discuss topics like this comes from us having to face our own mortality?
It is. It is. Everybody's going to die, but you can live I have no intention of leaving here before 120, 25. So I believe that you can give up the ghost when you want to. And I understand, because people have seen people do it. Like, they can say, I am so tired, I'm ready to go. And those people leave this earth. So you get to decide, but that comes with health and fitness and everything else. You got to be doing what you're supposed to be doing to live that long. But we all got a death date.
Dr. Ronda, I've already said that when they come interview me with what's my secret to being 105, I'm totally just making up something that's so irrational, where you're just like,
that's not what you did.
But y'all won't know that.
Right.
Miss Johnson said her claim to health is like. And I'm gonna have people out there. Well, Mother Johnson said that this is what she did to make it to 100. I'm gonna have all y'all taking shots, and I don't even.
Oh man,
Mother Johnson said she took a shot us every day, knowing good and well
that's not what happened.
But I'm gonna say it because there's nobody to refute. I'm gonna say that even at 75. I walked 8 miles a day, and when I came in, I took a shot. I'm gonna tell it. I'm tell it. I'm tell it. I'm tell it.
Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. Oh,
And
I
I'm gonna
love
see people going, well, you know, Mother Johnson said she
it.
walked every.
Every day. But you know something? And those people still won't do
No, Kim said that she's gonna tell people that her secret to longevity is gonna eat moose
it.
tracks.
I like that one. I like that one. I'm gonna say swimming. I swimmed every day.
Oh, I'm gonna say
From
I did marathons.
Oh, I like that one too.
Yeah, it's gonna be something so irrational where it's just
Yeah.
like, now she know.
Yeah. And everybody, but the majority won't do it.
No,
Like we literally can tell you, you understand that you need to eat healthy, you need to exercise.
mhm.
Everybody knows that smoking may or may not kill you, but guess what? People still gonna do it.
Cedric said he's gonna tell people he had a shot of bourbon. We are so unserious, and I love us for that.
Yes,
So
love
when
it.
you introduce this concept to a potential client, what is the initial? Do you experience any pushback when you lay out the blueprint for them?
A little bit, because it's a whole new way of thinking about money. It's a
Mhm.
whole new way of thinking about this is really life insurance. What everybody else has been talking to you about has been death insurance. I'm not talking about the death insurance part. I'm talking about the life part because it also has living benefits. Because, see, what people don't realize is that if you die, you don't got nothing to worry about. But what if you get sick and you live? Yeah, like because then what happens? Like they don't have any money. You're now in the hospital. Everything you've been saving for is now getting eaten up if you had money in the bank or you had a 401k. Like now she's paying hospital bills or he's
Mhm.
paying hospital bills versus getting a check. So that's the other part of this life insurance. Living insurance has living benefits that helps you before death.
So is this a specific type of policy that you're referring to, or is this a financial plan that you lay out?
No, so it is a specific policy that allows us to be able to do this and have all of these components to it. It's an IUL, which is an index universal life policy. And so, again, it rides the market up, but it never goes down. It has living benefits to it, but then we also have something that we add to it, which is a term living benefits that gives you a longer period of time of having living benefits.
Mm.
And then the other thing is that all the money that you've been accumulating within the policy, because compound interest, and this is the thing, you need to get it when you're young. We have something called $1 Million Baby that you can actually put with on your kids, but you got to teach them what it's for because that's where the financial literacy comes from. A lot of people think that generational wealth just happens. It doesn't. You have to help the next generation understand what to do with the money when they get it. And so there's something called $1 Million Baby where you can start one of these policies where your child could be a millionaire by 40. They'll have enough money within their policy that they now will have options that if they want to start a business, they want to buy a house for cash and now start a whole real estate empire,
Mhm.
they can. And you can pay it off in 7 years. Like you can literally get your child a policy when they're an infant or younger, pay for it for 7 years, and it's done. Now it's just sitting there growing compound interest.
So do you think that is one of the tools that can help break down the wealth gap between us and the rest of the world?
It is because that's what the rest of the world has been using.
Because I think I read the other day where it says it's going to take us, what, 243 years to
To
close the wealth gap?
catch up. Yes, to catch up. And also one thing that I talk to my clients about, and I talk to anybody because I've seen programs where people say you don't have to get a house. You know, that's just the American dream. Everybody doesn't need a house. For us, you need to get a house, even if it's just the house you live in. And the reason why is because that's part of how they've gotten ahead was because they had property.
Mhm.
and understanding that. So your first house, I believe that you become an investor when you get your first house. Even if that's the only house, get that house and pass it to your children. But also pass it to your children, understanding that they understand that this is how you're going to keep it. Don't sell this house, make it a rental property and get you another one and start building on that foundation. So between getting property, having the right life insurance policy with living benefits and being able to have compound interest, being able to use the money within your policy, and then having financial literacy to back it up with the right amount of people around you to be able to educate you in that, so it doesn't just get stopped at one generation, two
Mhm.
generations.
And I'm glad you mentioned that's how you carry it forward. And a lot of it is because we're in such a microwave society now.
Yep.
I want what I want when I want it, how I want.
Yep. Yep.
And if I can find a shortcut to get there, I don't want to be bothered with everything else, because I know people, because when we look back, I'll go with this train of thought. When you look back and see the insidious nature of policies that were put in place, redlining, systemic things that intentionally prevented the generation before us, two generations before us, to get in place.
Yep.
There's a huge gap, and we are running a marathon. We are running not even a marathon. We are running relays, trying our best to catch up to a system that intentionally held you back.
Correct. And a lot of
And
people
it's
don't
hard
understand.
to explain, sometimes you're like, well, you just do XYZ. Well, if my great grandparents had access to XYZ, wouldn't be having this conversation. And that's a real thing.
It is. It is. And we have to be the generation to help with that catch up. If we continue to be like, because I've heard people say, I had to work for mine, so they're going to have to work for theirs.
Mm-hmm.
How do they catch up if a generation doesn't stand up and say, I'm going to be the change agent?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be the one who says, I'm going to do something different with my family. We talk about generational curses. I don't believe in generational curses. I believe in generational habits. We have the same habits as our parents do. Just we do it with food, we do it with money, we do it in the way that we live. And so, how do we change those habits? We got to do something different. Our mindset has to be different.
Exactly, because I'm in a space, because look, I know how y'all like to tussle, but I'm going to say it with my full chest. If the generation behind me has to come back and say, I had to pull it out the mud, I have failed.
Right. That is correct.
Because I have not given you the cheat code.
Correct.
At this point in my season, I should be able to go back and say, don't do that.
Right.
This is the cheat code. I need you to hit a code. I should be able to just walk in and go, here is what you need to do.
Correct.
Go do this. Do not deviate from this. Go do this. Because like you said, if every generation is pulling out the mud, at some point, the next generation shouldn't have to be the first.
That is correct. That is correct. But see, this is the thing. A lot of this generation still are not willing to own up to some of the mistakes that they've made. And so if we're unwilling to talk about it, and that's the thing, if we're not talking about money, then it's not, we'll give people high fives for getting fit because you can actually see them losing weight. We'll talk about people, let me give you a high five because you got out of debt. Let me give you a high five because you went saved $200,000. Because we want to be secret about those things. And so when
your
you're keeping
credit
those
score and your weight are the three numbers we will never tell a soul.
That is correct.
And the thing about both of those numbers is that we can see you struggling.
Yeah.
I remember when my niece wanted to buy a car, and I said, here's what a good credit score gives you. When you go look at a car, if your credit score is a certain number, they're going to give you this part of the lot.
Yep.
And they're going to tell you, here, go pick a car from over here. And it's not your choice. That's just what you're going to be relegated to.
Yeah.
As opposed when you walk in with a pre-approval letter, the whole lot is yours, and the conversation changes where you don't have to say, well, you can look over there. I know what I want.
I go in
I
and
looked up the VIN number and
yeah,
it's over there. So I need you to go get my car.
yeah,
Only
go
thing
get
I
me
need
the
you
keys.
to do is let me go test drive. I
Yep,
said the conversation shifts when you got a pre-approval in your hand.
that is correct. And that's the other thing about credit that we don't talk about with young people, that the other people talk about with their kids.
Mhm.
They help them build credit. They help
Mhm.
them build credit. You wonder why at 18, when they go off to college, they can get a house and then rent out all the rooms. Because guess what? Somebody attached them to a credit card that they were paying off to build their credit. And they walking into college with an 800 credit score when our kids are walking into college with no credit score because we never talked about it and we never helped them establish it. Now, if your credit ain't good, don't put your kids on your credit card.
Please don't.
Please don't. You're gonna mess their credit up. Don't get
But
no
you know,
bills in your
I
credit.
had a friend that did that for her daughter. She put her on her card. Every card she had, just about, she put her daughter on the card. So when she graduated high school, this girl had like an 800 credit score.
Correct.
So when
Because
she
that's
went
the
off to
secret.
college and she needed something, there were no issues
Right. Yep. So with
because
you,
she had what she needed. And a lot of it is, just in our full honesty, there is some shame attached to it.
it
And,
is.
and, and I want this to be a healing conversation, that this isn't something you don't know what you don't know.
No, correct. Correct.
And we all did the best we could. But once you are forearmed with the knowledge and the courage to decide to do better, that's when your growth is going to happen. And when the little folks in your house see you striving, they're going to change their approach.
Correct. Correct. And you have to make a choice. It is your decision to, and a lot of people's like, so should I build wealth or should I get out of debt? What should I do? You can
Mhm.
do both at the exact same time.
Mhm.
People do it all the time. But what happens is that I'm so buried in it that I try to not really hide it. I try not to pay attention to it because maybe it'll go away. It's
Mhm.
not going away. And that weight that's on your shoulders is because you don't feel free.
You
And
don't,
some of
and it's one of those things that I tell everybody. I sat down and I was like, okay, I want to pay off my house faster, and I bit the bullet, and I put my house payments on bi-weekly. So,
mm,
no, Dr. Rhonda, no, because that extra payment. Because I was looking at I was like, oh, it's a 3 paycheck month. Lord, your house note coming out. Oh, but at the same time, I'm paying off my house faster.
that is correct. Much faster.
And I'm like, I'm
Mm,
paying off my house fast. I'm doing everything else. So it's one of those things that how can I align that is how I looked, y'all, when that third payment came
with your
out that month.
nuts.
That is how I looked.
Yeah, an extra payment.
Um, and that is what I said.
Oh Lord.
But at the same time, I'm like, if I can shave off 10 years paying off this house, so be it. So it's one of those, like, okay, and I even sit down every year. I do my insurance. I have my insurance audit. How is it? Where is it going to be? Because at some point you have to face the reality is we have to face our mortality.
Correct. You
And
do.
that is not something y'all unhear me good because I know y'all like to tussle. That is not an enjoyable experience in your life. I know. Even you start having to accept the fact that your parents will make their heavenly transition. That is a conversation that none of us want to face.
Nope.
None of y'all. My mama went on the cruise and I cried for 5 days because I couldn't talk to her. So sitting here like, oh, my mom, I was told down because I couldn't talk to my favorite girl. However, at the same time, we can't shy away from the conversations of if something happens to me, will my family be okay?
Correct. Correct.
Because as Cedric mentioned earlier, we put it back up here, our grandparents could only get the burial insurance.
Correct.
Or when my grandma was alive, the insurance man would come through the neighborhood and she had like all these little policies.
Yep.
And so, but that's all they could get. She had $1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 500. Those are all the things that they could get. So at some point, we have to move from the survival model to thriving.
Correct. And understanding that you can thrive alive. So get your mind off, understand and accept that you're going to die. And even if you don't accept it, it's going to happen. But understand that, but also understand that you are here to enjoy life and live. So why not have the joy of living and setting up the right avenues, the right tools, and wiping out debt? And see, and people look at, okay, like you paying off your house, like we're doing the exact same thing. We're paying off multiple houses. A lot of people be like, don't pay your house off because then you're not gonna have a tax write-off. Uh, I I still gotta pay taxes on the house. So,
Mhm.
I'm good because everybody that's out there that's getting those huge tax benefits, you're giving the government a lot of money to work with. You should be breaking even with that too. Pay your house off. Get a house. Be the first person in your generation, in your generation or your with your family to get a house and pay it off so you can pass it on. So,
So I
but
hear something murmuring in the ether. I hear, because I know there's somebody saying, well, it's too late for me.
nope, it's not. It is not. It is not too late. You start now. You can start now. And even if you are older, say, for instance, maybe I have a grandparent that's on here. Grandparent might be in their 80s. That grandparent, I'm hoping, is planning on living to their 90. But what they can do right now is they can help the next generation maybe not be able to get a life insurance policy on themselves because they're kind of above that age. But that grandbaby that they might want to buy clothes for, buy Pampers for, buy stuff for, they can buy them the $1 million policy and get it paid off within 7 years, which means they will be 87, still here, and that child now will have legacy. They literally are making that child a millionaire by the time they're 30 and 40.
So,
So
so, so our grandparents can buy the baby's insurance policies.
yes, and they would be the owner of it. So the grandparent will still be the owner until they pass away, and then it will transfer to the beneficiary.
Is
They,
there a grandparent available to get me a policy?
yes, me too.
Is there a grandparent willing to sponsor a child in the eyes of an angel? I'm available. I'm
Yes,
available. If you need a grandchild, I am here.
I will be one. I
I'm
will
here.
be one.
I can be a grandchild.
And then if somebody's watching and they have health issues, again, this is living insurance, but it's still insurance. So the requirements is you do have to do a health evaluation, and they don't think that they can pass the health evaluation. Well, you don't know that. Don't stop assuming, because a lot of people think, well, I got high blood pressure, I got pre-diabetes. It just depends on what stages and what medicine you're on. So, and the great thing is that we have several companies that we can actually put it through in order to get you approved. But if you don't, then we have other options.
So that leads me to my next question. Dr. Rhonda, where may one get this Index Universal Life policy?
They can get it with me. They can get it with me. They can actually contact me, and I'm gonna say this probably a couple times through the broadcast, but they can actually contact me at www.bankonyourselfebook.com. That'll give you one that tells you more about the infinite banking. That book actually gives you 4 steps on creating your own bank. And part of it is getting a financial professional like myself with an insurance license to be able to put it in and making sure that you have the right components. This is the thing. This is not a cookie cutter thing. Everybody's going to get something different. It depends on if you're a female or a male, if you smoke or if you don't smoke. How much money do you want to save a year? Because it's all about saving. And so you actually contact me. You get the free ebook. It'll put your information in there. And then I also host webinars that you can find out more about it. I have a webinar coming up on Monday, March the 25th at 8 p.m. And so if you go get the
How might we make it to that webinar?
so go get the ebook, and then I am actually going to send you a link after you get the ebook on the information to get into the webinar on that Monday at 8 p.m. But yeah, so you do need, we need to sit down and have a conversation. And this conversation here is the great conversation overall to kind of get your mindset in a different place when it comes to insurance, period. And really understanding that you're it. You're the person. We're tagging you. You can make the change in your family. It's you.
Sometimes I think we have to realize that the blueprint that we're looking for is us.
It is.
That sometimes that thing, because sometimes we'll go, I wish there was somebody that did XYZ. Sometimes it's you. And it's not it's not a negative way. It's just that's what you have been called to do.
Right.
And I love how you said sometimes you may be the generational healer.
Right.
And being the first it don't feel good. But sometimes you're called to be the generational healer, to introduce new things to the family or introduce new things to the circle. And most times that comes because you learn the hard way.
Right.
And so you can go back and go, don't do that.
But yeah, don't do that. Yeah, don't.
Because as we heard in church today, wisdom is always the best teacher, and it's also the most expensive.
Correct.
Because what you've lost in time, what you've lost in insight, what you've lost financially, emotionally, and all the other things that come from having to take so many blows. It's a good teacher, but it's an expensive teacher.
Correct.
And if you can align yourself with people that can help you bypass some of these things and give you accelerated coaching and insight, why not take advantage of it?
Right. And when you talk about mistakes, a lot of times we don't want to talk about the mistakes that we made, but you're not sitting. Some of the things that's happening in your life is part of the mistakes you made, but you've grown now. You know what the mistakes are. So now let's talk about it, because you're not helping anybody by holding on to it. And if you share it with at least the people in your house and those little people, and you share early enough, you can at least tell them, look, I might not know how I do know how I got here, but I don't want you to get here too. So I know not to do this. I might not know the other way to go, but I know, baby, don't do this. Because when I was young, I was told don't get credit cards. That's not reality, because when you go off to college, the first thing they're going to send your kid is a credit card.
Yeah, I got that Discover card. You couldn't tell me nothing with my little $500 balance. Y'all couldn't tell me nothing.
And it stayed maxed out.
Stayed maxed out because I was always at Quincy Steakhouse eating that snake. Oh.
Yeah, so.
And I had to get a new outfit for every basketball game.
But if you had, how would that have been different if your parents had sat down and said, here is a credit card. This is what you can do. Okay, now let's pay for it. Because see, this is the other, and I don't want to use the word mistake. This is the other revelation that I've had, is that how you teach kids about money if they don't have none? How you do that? How can you teach somebody about something they don't have? So for everybody that's listening, step out of the box and give your kids some allowance. That's like a foreign language. Nobody want to pay. I ain't paying them to stay in my house. But then you don't want them to have the same cycles you have. Okay. So give them an allowance and teach them how to budget.
Dr. Ronda, the folks like to tussle now. You.
I know that's a hard pill to swallow. It's like, you want me to give them some money? Because that's the way we're going to teach them financial literacy, because they can't learn.
And I love you said that, because I have a friend of mine. She says her mom called her one day and said, okay, I need you to have my grandkids at the credit union at 2:00.
See, look at that.
And she was like, why? She said, because I'm going to open them some checking and some savings accounts. She was like, so do you want me to be there to get you so I can give you my number? She said, I said the grandkids. I ain't say nothing about you. Nothing about you.
Yeah, we didn't skip the generation. She's doing exactly what the word says, is to leave it legacy for
And
generations
so
of
she
doing
said
life.
she politely dropped them on off, and she was like, "You want me to stay?" She said, "I'll take them home." She said,
Mhm.
I got it from here.
Yeah.
I got it from here." And so they're building generation. And again, understand, because I hear it in the ether that
Hmm.
for some people, we are speaking in a point of privilege
Correct.
that you may not have the discretionary income right now to do it.
Correct.
And so this may become a goal for this year going into next year. So I recognize that in this space of what's going on, this is a real thing. However, I don't want you to not find out what you can do when you sit down with Dr. Rhonda, because as she said, a term policy may be an option.
Correct. Correct. And we spend money on what we want to spend money on. And so a lot of times, because I mean, I work in an after school program and them kids be walking in with some cute shoes. And see, I got little feet, so my feet can fit their shoes. And so instead of the Jordans, how about you give them some money and let them choose if they want to buy them Jordans or not?
How about, I saw this thing on TikTok where this lady said her son, 12-year-old son, said he wanted some Balenciaga tennis shoes. And I can't even spell Balenciaga. And I don't even know if Payless had those or not. Do they sell those at Burlington's?
No, they don't.
Do they sell those at
Mhm.
Ross?
Yeah,
And I was like, why does a 12-year-old need $1,500
and
shoes?
shoes. And that 15, when you could split that 1,500, let's see how well he manages money. And see, and that's the other thing. So we're giving them the perception now. So we'll tell them no. So they'll ask for something. We'll tell them no, but then we'll go out and buy them $200-300 shoes. Versus, how about give them the $200 or $300 over the next couple of months and tell them to manage it. So when they ask for something, well, was that in your budget? And that's a good thing. So that's a good lead into the book that's coming out. It's called Investing Made Easy, a Family Affair. It's really having families sit down together to do budgets, sitting down together, and even the kids need to have a budget, because now it takes the burden off of you of saying no. So you go out to the store, y'all going to the movies, or going to you're going to the grocery store, and they're asking for stuff that's not on your list. Well, is that in your budget, baby?
So you talk about a budget. Do you mean like I put it on the back of the envelope,
So when we sit down and do a budget, your all your money needs to have a place to go.
So I'm
So,
hearing don't put it on my back of my sheet of paper.
well, you can write it wherever you want. I just need
Okay.
all your money to go where you
Okay.
tell it to go. Because people like, okay, I don't know, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Well, did you tell your money where to go to? That's part of why you live in paycheck to paycheck. And are you giving yourself money to put in your pocket so you're not swiping your card? Because money's very emotional. People say there's no money, no emotion in money. It is. Put 100. I challenge anybody that's watching this. Put $100 in your pocket, carry that around, and leave your debit card at home. Now, this doesn't count for gas, but this is just spending money. That's your spending money for 2 weeks. $100 for 2 weeks. I guarantee you that time when you normally would go out to eat and swipe your card, you'd be like, wait a minute, if I spend this 20 now, I want to do something later. So let me go home and cook. It becomes a whole different conversation when you have cash. And the same thing happens with kids. We're telling, so it takes, when you can put the power in their hands to say, was it in your budget? And they say, well, no, it wasn't, because I wanted such and such. Well, how you gonna get such and such if you spend it now?
And you say that, and we're gonna when my nephew would come up here, he had this thing where we developed this thing where I'd always at the end of his trip take him to Opry Mills Mall so he can go shopping. And he had this thing where we had a little list, a chore list, because he was here for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, so what do you want to do when you go? Well, I want to go buy a certain, whatever.
Okay.
And I would clear with my brother that I could take him go buy it. And I was like, okay, so here's the thing. This is your bucket of money. Remember, you said you want to go to Opry Mills and buy this. And you also want to buy this.
Okay.
I'm not getting you any extra money. So you have to decide
Yep.
out of this little bucket that you're going to have, what's important to you. When
Correct.
I tell you that little boy became cheap as all get out,
Correct. Because it's his money now.
and he was like, Auntie, I think I want that. Out of that money that I give you, I have to deduct that.
Right.
So you about to be 25 short. So I can do this, but you can't. Never mind. I don't want that.
I don't want that now. I don't want it.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Auntie, are we about to go to the steakhouse? We can.
Yeah. See?
But it's going to come out your pocket. So I said, I'm not saying you can't. I said, I understand. I'm not telling you what you can do with this $100. I'm just telling you, if you keep asking for advances,
it's going to be gone.
I'm deducting.
Right. It's going to be gone. And
so right now, based on what you asking, you down $42. So I can give it to you, but you understand you're going to clear this 58 Friday. Right. He was like, Auntie, I'm good. I don't want that.
Yeah. Because the conversation changes when they really understand what's going on. And that's the reason why we don't give our kids credit enough that they can make decisions for themselves.
Let me tell you what this little joker did, Dr. Ronda. He asked if he could work overtime.
And he's smart. And he's smart.
My baby well. Auntie, is there any way I could work some overtime? To clean the flower beds or something, because I was looking at it in the game, it's gonna cost a few more dollars. And I was wondering, and so we were cleaning the flower beds, and this is when he was small. And I was like, pass me the hoe. And he was like, and I said, okay, for gardening purposes.
Oh my gosh.
Auntie, here's the
oh my gosh. See.
But he worked for that money because, and also I also set it up that what he didn't do, his money got knocked.
Right.
I was like, this is a job. So if you don't show up and do what you're supposed to, you're not going to get your $5.
Right. Like, and that's the same that's going to happen when you go to work.
My house ain't never been that clean. That little...
Oh, but that is teaching him a great work ethic, and they should earn it. And that's the difference with the allowance is you don't have to just give them money. They can earn it. Mm-hmm. I even have in the back of a book an allowance application where they actually have to apply to get the allowance, because when they go for a job, they have to apply for it. Mm-hmm. And so what skills you got? I ain't know what skills you got. We doing an exchange here. And then they also have to get feedback from their teachers. Like, look, you're not going to sit around here and work in the house, get a bunch of money, and then your grades don't look right.
Right. Now, fast forward, because I gotta, take the story full circle. Now, fast full circle, he's 22.
Oh.
And he just got his first apartment by himself. Because he did everything my brother told him to do.
See?
And my mom was like, he said he's going to go check out and get an apartment. He came back. I move in Monday. We were like, it's Wednesday.
He's like, I put a down payment. I paid my first month and I'm moving in.
And we were like, when Monday? He was like, yeah, in 4 days. We were like, that is what it looks like to prepare the next generation.
Correct. When he didn't even call you all, he went out looking. He understood.
Oh, no, he's around the corner from my mom.
Yeah, well, but his credit good, because guess what? People don't understand. Apartment in high places check for credit too. Mm-hmm. So he understood, and he knew what to do. And if we don't talk about it, they ain't gonna know what to do. And then you wonder why your kid's still living at your house. 22, 30, 35. I think the average age right now of kids getting out of their parents' house is anywhere between 30 and 35.
I don't know, Dr. Ronda, at my big old age, if my mama said I could move back in,
I would. I would too. I would too. Y'all don't know. Y'all don't understand this adulting life. If me and my husband could move back in with
one
my
star, very ghetto. If my mama said right now, baby, you know, we got this extra room with the bathroom, just
I would do it so differently. I'd be right. Yeah, I'm packing up. Like, yeah,
gone.
sure, ma. I would. I
And it'd be
would.
like, you live with your mama and do
I do. And
and
I'm
do.
enjoying every bit of it.
And will I you know what, I come in and I wash her clothes, I keep the house clean, whatever she
Mhm.
want me to do.
And,
I,
and, 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 and what bill I need to pay. Yeah.
what bills you want me to pay, I got you.
Yeah, I got it. So I would. I
Mhm.
w- I was ready to leave, and it's good. I feel like it's really good to be ready to leave, but you also got to this in these streets is different. Like, and these kids live in a totally different generation than what we did when we moved out. Somebody said, "Yes, I would."
That's my mama. So I want my siblings to see that our mama said I can move back in. I want y'all to see that. So, Dr. Rhonda, in our last few minutes together, what are some words of wisdom that you would like to share?
Oh man, one, stop waiting around for somebody else to change the generation that you're living in and to change your life. You are the change maker. You can live your life. You can live to love your life right now, but you got to make a decision. I use this acronym MOVE. So MOVE, if anybody wants to write it down. The stands for make a decision. You got to make a decision. Your life is going to continue to go on. You can live your life by design or default. You can design the life you want to live, or you can live it by default. Because guess what? 24 hours are going to happen every day, whether you participate in it or not. So why not choose a life that you would love? So make a decision on what you want to do. You want to get out of debt? Let's get out of debt together. You want to get your credit straight? Let's get your credit straight. You want to build your own bank and leave generational wealth? Let's do it. But you got to make a decision to do it. And you don't have to wait. You got to know. So you, in some people's mind right now, they're like thinking, and I heard when you mentioned before, like, I might not be in the financial position to be able to do it. You don't know what financial position you need unless you talk to somebody. You gotta, so you gotta talk about it. Let's at least talk about it. The O is own your truth. You know that debt you got, you had fun getting it, didn't you? I know I did when I was getting in debt. So own your truth. You had fun, so now it's time to get out of it. Own your truth that I'm not in the position that I want to be in life right now. Own the truth that I want my kids to be in a better position, and I'm not setting them up the way that they need to be set up, but I can change that. And the V is visualize. You got to visualize where you're going. You got to have a plan. You need to, and I talk about vision boards. Vision boards actually work because it keeps things in front of you. Getting visualizing and writing down, even under visualization comes your budget and where your money needs to go, how much money you want to bring in. It's really heartbreaking for you to ask somebody, how much money do you want to make? And they can't tell you. What you mean you can't tell me? Okay, so
Enough.
you want to make right enough. Oh, so enough is so you want to make $100 a month.
Yes.
No. Well, I don't know what you're gonna. Most people will say no to that, Coach. Barely. Most people say no to $100 a month. And yes, Cedric. Yes, we will. Thank you. We want his daughter to be better than he was, and you have to know that. And so, sitting down and figuring out what you want and visualizing that. Some people can't even imagine now. Don't sit down and visualize $1 million a month when you can't even visualize making $5,000 a month. Or you can't even visualize making $35 an hour. So sit down and work with yourself and visualize where you want to be and visualize 3 years out. Like, where do I want to be 3 years out? Because right now you're where you're at because of what you did 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So something has to change. But if you are just living day by day, it's not. And the E is be an expectation. What's the point of visualizing doing all this stuff and you don't even believe it's going to happen. It's almost like praying. People be praying for stuff, and in their mind, they're doubting that God going to give it to them. My God is a good guy. He'll give you what you ask for. If it's in his word. And people say, if it's in his will, if it's about your health, it's in his will. He wants you to be healthy. He wants you to be prosperous. We ain't supposed to be poor. I was just at a conference this weekend, and she's getting ready to take it all over the country. It's called My Sister's Keeper. And one of the things she said was, the wealthy people have forgotten about God, but God's people forgot about the money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God's people, we're the ones that's supposed to have the money to change generations. And so let's not forget about the money. You need to be in expectation that God wants you to be prosperous. God wants you to be healthy. God wants you to live a life that you love. You should have moments in your day where you can sit back and just smile, because joy comes from the inside of you. It has nothing to do with outside circumstances. That job that you're on, that you're waiting till Friday every time, you're waiting for the weekend, there was a reason that you got that job. Find that reason again and understand that you're the one that's supposed to bring joy to that job. You're there for a reason.
And I'll say, as we close out, that sometimes we lose sight that we are in the seasons we prayed for.
Mm-hmm. We
prayed for seasons like right where we are now. We be like, you know what? When I get right here, woo, I'm gonna praise and dance. Yes. And you forget that you are in the seasons that you prayed for.
Yep.
And the challenge is to now go to the next level.
Yep.
Now it is to amp it up. And sometimes when you get to this season, what is now required of you is to go back and get somebody else.
Right.
It's now time for you to light somebody else's torch.
Correct.
I'm not diminishing mine, but it's time for me to light your torch so you can go further than me. Because I already told y'all when they come when the Today Show interviewed me at 105, I'm telling y'all that I was taking shots of something every day. I don't know what was popular, so I'm gonna have to Google it and I'm gonna just say it. And I'm gonna have all y'all taking shots of something. And have y'all walking 6 miles a day saying, you know, Mother Johnson took shots every day and then she went walking. And I'm going to have them record me walking. But it's only going to be like to 2 houses down. Y'all ain't going to know how to walk that far. But I'm going to tell y'all that I walk 5 miles every day and took a shot of something.
Man. Yep.
So this is a perfect segment that we'll end right here. That you are in a season where you are prayed.
Correct.
Even though you may not see where it's going, my goal and intent has always to be to give you resources to help you get to where you're going. And if you are in a space where you need life insurance or you're looking for ways to maximize your life insurance and be in a space of being a generational healer, we're going to start with Dr. Ronda. Get her ebook. It is in the chat. No matter where you saw it, be it Facebook or YouTube, it's in the chat. Thank you, Jay. But going into another year, saying that I don't have what I need is no longer acceptable.
Right.
So I always said this year is not that, you know, people say be stronger than your whatever. This year, I want you to be stronger than your fears.
Yes.
Because we always say be stronger than your excuses. This year, please be stronger than your fears. And I hate you so much, DJ. I choose you right now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't pay me. Oh my God. Oh, you don't pay me. You see, it be your own kind. It be your own every time.
Yeah.
It be your own every time. Kim won't let you know she just signed up.
Yeah, yay. I'll be reaching out. I'll send you some information, Miss Kim, about the webinar.
And Cedric said, thank you for the great conversation. So, as I stated in January, going into this year, we are going to be stronger than our fears.
Yes.
And when you're pivoting out of a certain situation, you have to become stronger than your fears.
You do.
And the first step is maybe admitting I didn't have my elders, Big Mom, Pop Pop, they didn't have the knowledge to give me. So a lot of you may have made a lot of mistakes, but this is your time to course correct.
Yep.
And in addition to that, we can go back now to Pop Pop and Big Mom and say, you know what, I got another tool to pull you up to.
Yep.
So y'all, we are generational healers. Let's go get it. Dr. Rhonda, thank you for everything. And y'all be sure to sign up for that class. And I will see y'all next week.
Bye.